Symbolism by Craig, Kiara, Lindsay, Michelle, and Genesis. After this lesson, students will be able to find symbolism in various mediums, comprehend what symbolism is and why it's important, and how to identify it. The standards we are hoping to achieve are RI.9-10.5, SL.9-10.4, and SL.9-10.5. Symbolism. Symbolism is the use of symbols to signify ideas and qualities by giving them symbolic meanings that are different from their literal sense. In literature, symbolism is used to convey deeper meaning. For example, an object, person, place, or word is representative of more than one literal meaning. Something represents something else, usually something greater. Symbolism is defined as the use of symbols to signify ideas and qualities, by giving them symbolic meanings that are different from their literal sense. In literature, symbolism is often used to depict the interpretations, tones, and moods writers want their readers to feel or note throughout their works. It's important to remember that symbolism takes something ordinary and makes it symbolic or representative of something greater. Metaphors of symbolism. A metaphor compares two unlike things, and demonstrates what they are ultimately alike. Comparisons demonstrate deeper meaning. For example, life is a roller coaster. Life is being compared to a roller coaster. This is symbolic because it suggests life is not steady nor predictable. There will be ups and downs to endure throughout a lifetime. Metaphors can also be an example of symbolism. When someone states life is like a roller coaster, we are comparing life to a roller coaster, seemingly two unlike things. A roller coaster is known to be full of ups and downs and unpredictable falls that leave riders breathless and anxious. Therefore, the statement is symbolic because it implies life too is like a roller coaster. It's not steady or predictable. There is deeper meaning in the statement than is what literally stated. Colors and objects can be symbolic within literary works too. For example, the mentioning of a flying crow within a text leads readers to infer that death is approaching. A character dressed in white might lead readers to associate characters with innocence and pure characteristics, possibly even ignorance. Symbolism in literature. Symbols can mean different things in different contexts. For example, in the biblical story of Adam and Eve, an apple represents temptation. But in the story of Snow White, an apple represents danger or evil intentions. Examples of symbolism in graphic novels. Requiem for the Rose King by Anna Cano, Volume 1. This is a retelling of Shakespeare's Richard III. The setting is the War of the Roses. The main character is Richard. The symbol is thorns equal hate/malice. This story is a retelling of William Shakespeare's Richard III, which takes place during the War of the Roses. Richard in both works is labeled as disfigured, causing some characters to scorn him. This scene is of Richard as a child wandering in the woods alone. He hears the voice of his mother, who scorns his birth through to his disfigurement and calls him a demon child. Her harsh words torment Richard and become the thorns that are wrapped tightly around him. The scene is black and Richard is succumbing to the darkness until he is finally freed by a white boar, which in Shakespeare's version is Richard's emblem. The mother's curses are straining as Richard's psyche, making him unable to move forward. This is a very dark moment in this character's life, and this is shown throughout the confinement of the sharp thorns surrounding and cutting into Richard's, trapping him in a hate-filled malice. Mouse, A Survivor's Tale by Art Spiegelman. This graphic novel depicts the author's memories of his parents' experiences in Nazi Germany. All of the characters are depicted as some sort of animal. For instance, Jewish people are represented as mice and Nazis are seen as cats. This alone is a symbol representing chase. The cover page for Chapter 5 shows a few sullen-looking mice in front of a mouse hole. During this time, many Jewish families had to hide from the Nazis in this mouse hole as a symbol of concealment and protection. These mice are hiding, but never know when or if they will be found. It is also important to note that cats lurk around the mouse holes, waiting for the perfect moment to strike when mice think it is safe to come out of hiding. This is the fear that many Jewish people had to endure during this time, and Spiegelman does an amazing job of visualizing this. Symbolism in literature. The Green Light and the Great Gatsby. The green light is at the end of the dock symbolizes various messages to the readers in The Great Gatsby. Nick relates this quote to Gatsby by saying, "The dream must have seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it." The green light not only represents money, which is green, but the distance and separation between new and old money. More importantly, the light represents Gatsby's future and how he associates it with Daisy, regardless of their societal and financial positions. Daisy, who is old money and at the East Egg Dock, while Gatsby is the new money and settled on the West Egg lawn, although Gatsby still grasps for the hope of one day having Daisy to himself. The green light is the hope for Gatsby. Symbolism in nonfiction. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. The store in Why I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Maya grew up with her grandmother, who was the only female woman of color who owned her own business. It was far from customary that a woman owned her own store during the time period, more so a woman of color. Maya grew up admiring and respecting her grandmother because she realized the store represented success for a woman of color and also a loyal community. It was one of the few places everyone in Stamps gathered around every day and could afford during the Great Depression. The store also represented division between black and white. Maya discussed how she would constantly see the white folks banging in and disrespecting her grandmother and her business. Also, Maya's grandmother lent money from the store to a white dentist to start his practice because he couldn't afford it himself. When Maya's tooth became rotten and she was deep in pain, he refused to take care of a black girl and said he would rather put his hands in a dog's mouth. The store symbolizes a woman's independence and freedom, but also the inevitable division between white and black people during this time period. Songs and music. Sometimes what you hear isn't what you hear, or what you're hearing isn't really what you're hearing. Many songs have different meanings in their lyrics. Sam Smith, Too Good at Goodbyes. Goodbye just doesn't mean goodbye in this song. Goodbye is also a breakup. And in this song, the singer is not doing the breaking up. He's the one getting broken up with. Here's the lyric video for Too Good at Goodbyes. R.E.M. Losing My Religion. While the phrase losing my religion is actually a southern expression for you're driving me crazy, this song is about unrequited love. No matter what the person does in this song, the object of their affection ignores them. Symbolism. It's something more. Now that you know what symbolism is, please be aware of its presence in within the literature you read and the songs you hear. Writers make specific choices that further emphasize their messages they seek to convey through their mediums. Not everything you read is what it seems, and not everything you hear is what is heard. This is our presentation. Thank you very much. Here are our credits.